Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Amy Cooper with Rise, and we are interviewing exceptional women in insurance. It's Women's History Month, and I am so pleased to welcome today Rose Hall. Rose, thank you for being with me.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell everyone, for those who don't know, about your role with AXA.
Yeah, I'm the head of innovation for the Americas at AXA XL, and my role is less related to technology innovation, more related to client service innovation. So the idea is, how do we help our clients innovate their businesses, innovate our relationships with them, help them reduce risk, help them progress to the next evolution of their business, which in turn makes us a great business partner for them and hopefully the go-to for risks that they can insure.
That is awesome. So, in your role, can you talk to us a little bit about how do you approach decision making and leadership?
Well, since this role is pretty much brand new, it's a challenge to figure out, what's the right thing to do? What's the decision to be made here? It's not as though you can follow the footsteps of the person in the role prior. So the guiding light I have with decision making and leadership is what's what's your moral compass? What's the right thing for the client? Because at the end of the day, doing the right thing for the client will end up doing the right thing for everyone. And let me be more specific about that because that sounds really vague. But we help the client find risk reducing solutions. Oftentimes there's a moral component to that, meaning keeping workers safe, taking them, making sure that they go home every day the way they came in the morning. That's innovation. It's innovating the way to reducing risk and to creating a better business tomorrow than today in consideration of climate and all the things that keep risk managers up at night. We know that if we make the right decision that helps their business, then that too helps our partnership. So it's really, um, when you think about decision making, you follow what you know is the right thing to do. What would you do for your family or your friends? And that's how we treat our clients.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's like pretty much the golden rule, or what did they say, the platinum rule? So
Yeah.
uh, amazing. And can you talk too a little bit about your leadership style? I know that some of your team is involved with Rise. They're amazing.
Yeah, my leadership style is very much, if you've seen any of those little videos about how millennials lead, I so identify with all of that because and we're going to get to this question a little bit later, but my style of leadership is authentic. It's really because it's the only thing I know how to do. I don't know how to um, put on a front or talk around a topic or that corporate speak, that kind of thing. It's just not in my DNA. So my style of leadership is very much, if something goes wrong, I need to be your first call so that I can help back you up. I need to know when things are overwhelming or when you want to be challenged more. My team I've gotten them to the place where they know their job is to challenge me. I always tell them that if we are talking about an idea and you don't think there's something right with it, I need you to speak up. Because if you don't tell me where the flaws are and then I go out in front of somebody else, I'm going to be super mad that you didn't challenge me. That's part of the team spirit. So, my leadership style is really very much just finding out what the strengths are on each person on my team and figuring out how to use them to make them successful, which makes all of us successful.
That's awesome. I also identify with the millennial style of just
Yeah.
being authentic, and what you see is what you get. Let's all just talk truth. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm often wearing a hoodie and eating breakfast on calls with my team. So
That's awesome. I love that a lot. Can you share a strategy? Obviously, you've been really successful that has contributed, like how you handle your professional growth or what you would advise others on pursuing professional development.
yeah, I would say the thing that's benefited me the most is having a growth mindset. So the answer to everything is usually yes. It's just how, right? So people say, "Oh, will you be interested in listening to?" Yes. Do you think we can? Yes. How can we? And it's just you got to figure out how. So I start with a yes, whether it's a personal opportunity for me, even in my career journey, or it's something a client wants, or something leadership wants. You start with, well, yes, and how can we do it? And so I've always looked at things that way in general, and it really helps in business because people, even if you can't get there immediately, it's not no doesn't mean forever. No just means not now. And then you find creative ways to make something happen. People have told me a lot that, like, you just make things happen. And I'm like, well, it's because I start with the assumption that it's going to happen. And then we just have to figure out how. So it's not like a positive attitude, but
Yeah.
it's the idea of a growth mindset where it's just a matter of how. And then failing is not failing, it's failing to success. And what I mean by that is, innovation takes a lot of failure to get to some sort of success. And that's why I am gravitating toward it, I suppose, because I don't mind not getting it right the first, second, third time, whatever it is. That just gets me closer to the answer. So
Yeah, or I think someone else mentioned recently a quote that wasn't necessarily like you don't fail, it's that you either succeed or you learn.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one. And I also like another one that says, success doesn't come from knowing you won't fail. It comes from being okay failing, like being accepting of the fact that you will fail. And that's just a stepping stone to the success.
Yeah, that is really a great mindset. I love the growth mindset. And I think that that's definitely probably one of the big reasons that you've been successful in your career. Can you talk a little bit? I mean, you are authentic. So talk to us about bringing your authentic self to work. And has it always been this way? Have you
No,
changed over your
definitely
career?
not.
Okay.
That's a great way to start that question, because definitely not. When you're younger in your career, or at least when I was younger in my career, I tried to be like the person the person in the company, or the role I aspired to be in, right? And so you take these little mentorships of different people who you admire, and I think the first tendency is to try to be exactly like them, and then you realize that you have to take pieces of each one of them and create your own sense of self, your own style of leadership. So in the beginning, like, you try to be a carbon copy of your boss or your boss's boss or whatever you want to aspire to, and then over time that starts to morph in with your own personality. And I think most people would agree that you don't really grow into your own personality until you've been around a couple 2-3 decades. But when you combine that with all the positive traits that you are emulating from other people you've seen, and then you create your own sense of leadership, I think that's where the magic happens. Because if you try to be a carbon copy of someone you're not, it would be disingenuous. You won't be able to keep it up. You'll feel like you have that imposter syndrome. But if you mix in all the great stuff you've seen from other people, the way they word things, the way they approach things, their attitude, their body language, all these things that you're like, oh yeah, I really admire that person. I would like to be like that. And just mash them all together with your own personality and sense of humor, and outcomes an authentic leader.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
Yeah.
So let me ask this last question. What advice would you give to other women that are aspiring to have success in the insurance industry?
Well, off the heels of the prior comment, I would say always say yes first, right, and figure it out later. Um, I think the biggest piece of advice I can say is advocate for yourself, because there's a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of people who believe that if they keep their head down and they do good work, somebody will notice them. They'll get discovered, and they'll,
Hmm.
rise to greatness. And the truth is that if you don't advocate for yourself, no one else will advocate for you either. But there's a lot of people who are brilliant who don't believe in themselves, and you will get back what you put out into the universe. So if you come in and you believe in yourself, others will believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, that shows too. So you get what you give a little bit. You can't just wait for somebody to pluck you out of a crowd and say, yeah, you're special. You have to do a little bit of that for yourself. You have to make sure that people notice you, not in a brash way, but just in a way that helps acknowledge the work, the contribution you've made, and then do it for others. See the others that believe in themselves and help advocate for them. So it's advocacy, but it's self-advocacy, and it's also advocacy for those you see who haven't figured that out yet and they're still waiting to be discovered.
I love that. That is great advice. So yeah, say yes, advocate for yourself, and then for the others that are coming up behind you. That's amazing. Thank you
Yeah,
so
that's
much,
it.
Rose. I really appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome, Amy. I appreciate you having me.
And for those of you watching, please follow Rise for more exceptional women in insurance.